Well, good morning, church. Another beautiful day here at camp. We had an amazing day yesterday, a great night. Many students are moved of the Lord. In fact, I sat with a number of students last night. They were overwhelmed with the love of God for them. While they know they struggle with their own sins and they see their sinfulness, they see His holiness and His righteousness. And it drew me this morning to some early passages just to be reflecting for myself. The whole of the Bible is the story of man being broken and breaking the things of God, and God redeeming us. And I read from a sermon with G. Campbell Morgan, this tiny little phrase this morning that comes out of all places, 2 Samuel 14. It's in the crazy backstory of David and his later years, where the whole family is all messed up with Absalom and Amnon, and there's one of his sons has murdered his other son, and there's been rape involved. There's all kinds of terrible things happening up inside this crazy situation, and some of you can relate to families that are just a giant mess. And David is heartbroken, trying to figure out how to restore himself back to his son, who he believes needs to be judged, but he doesn't understand all that. All that's just a crazy story you can read sometime and glean a lot. But there's this line that occurs. A wise woman from a town called Tekoa is brought in by Joab, one of David's military leader and really good friend. Brings her in, and she tells this crazy story, concocts this crazy story. That's a really interesting way to say to David, you know, God's up to something. And here's the line I want you to hear this morning. Just let this resonate with you. She says to him, we all have to die. But then she says, this is 2 Samuel 14, verse 14. But God will not take away life, and He devises a means so that the banished one will not remain an outcast. God devises a means so that the banished ones will not remain outcast. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. We're all sinners, and it means we're to be separated from God. But the whole story of the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, and the maps, as my old pastor friend used to say, all of it tells the same story, that God has made a way for those of us who have been and deserve to be banished, like David's son, can be restored. This is a story of redemption, and we can tell everybody we know this great story of redemption. I pray you'll find a way to tell people who, you know, some people banish themselves. They get so angry and upset with themselves, they isolate themselves. I talked about that in our chapel last night. Some people get so hurt by their own foolishness and sinfulness, they isolate themselves. But God has a way of not letting the banished remain banished. He seeks after them. In fact, the Bible says, as lost sheep, He'll come after you and bring you back to the fold rejoicing. So let's celebrate our redemption today. Let's celebrate the fact that He doesn't leave us banished. He actually made a way. He has a path for us to be redeemed through His Son Jesus. We trust in His Son Jesus, and we find redemption. You guys be blessed. We'll see you back soon.